All right, New Orleans, welcome to the Jack Clegg Show. This is the Tuesday night edition, and we're speaking you from the extraordinarily luxurious studios of WGSO 990 AM, and you're listening to a radio show, but you also may listen to the audio podcast on WGSO.com. We archive those so you can go back and listen forever. Well, not forever, but for a long time. And also, we're on X and YouTube video podcasts. Also, an announcement next week, I will be out of town, so we're going to go look through some of our more interesting shows, and we'll have a repeat show next Tuesday and next Thursday, but we'll be live today and live Thursday. I have to go up to Iowa for a oral argument in a legal case I'm still involved with. Although I'm retired, I still have some issues that are interesting, but that's to me. Okay, tonight we're going to talk about a topic that is very interesting. All the news, all the reports today are talking about the facts that have occurred, but I don't hear a lot of analysis. And I think there should be some more analysis. So that's why we have callers to give us analysis of what they think about. And the general topic that we're going to talk about is, I wrote it down because I thought it was, there are multiple stories breaking today about how we are dealing with broken teenagers. Now, specifically, what we'll talk about are the most broken of the teenagers. And those would be those teenagers that commit mass shootings. I don't think you can get much more broke than that. Kobe, you think that's about as broke as you get as a teenager?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know what that. So we're gonna use that. And so how are we dealing with that? And the specific story that has been on the news today, and of course the reporters give it about 45 seconds or a minute and a half, and they don't really talk about a lot of the details, is the mass shooting that took place in Michigan. And it was Oakland County, Michigan. That's not Oakland, California. This is Oakland County, Michigan, right outside of Detroit. Ethan Crumbley was the 15-year-old who killed 4 of his fellow students. There was no evidence at all that any of these students had done him wrong, or that he was defending himself from them, or they from him. He did a video before the shooting. He said that he was a demon. He said that he was hearing voices. This is on the video that was his manifesto. You'll remember last year, I guess it was March and April, we were talking about the manifesto in Nashville from that school shooting. Well, his manifesto did that. And of course, there have been many, many mass shootings, and many of these teenagers have done it. This one has grabbed attention because of the prosecutor in Oakland County, Michigan, and their decision to go after the parents of Ethan Crumbley. The husband and the wife, they were tried separately, and both of them were found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. 4 counts, because there were 4 dead students at the hands of their son. The sentence they received was from 10 to 15 years. Each of those counts has a 10 to 15 year sentence that can be assessed to each of them They were given 10 to 15 years. They've actually been in jail since right after the shooting. I think they have 800 days, 888 days, I think, in jail. I'm sorry, not 688 days, over 2 years in jail. And their lawyers wanted them to get time served, but the prosecutor did not want that and went after him. And here's the topic for tonight's show. And we're going to talk about other aspects and some other things that are going on with broken teenagers. But the question is, why did he do it? Which, if as a lawyer, I'll tell you, as a criminal lawyer, I tried a couple of criminal cases early in my career. I did it on a pro hoc vice basis for Orleans Parish. You don't have to prove motive. It might be nice and it might be interesting to the jury, but in most crimes, you prove the crime was committed, and if it's a crime of intent, you have to prove they intended to do the crime. But they never answer the question of why, and that's really not important. And in these cases with these students who are involved in mass shootings, there's a real issue of why. And let me just parenthetically say, okay, when I was back in the day, as old geezers say, when I was in high school, we didn't have school shootings at all. I graduated high school in '73. The first and the most significant of the mass shootings was right about the time you were born, right?
Wait, repeat that one more time.
The first of the mass shootings that got big publicity was right before you were born, wasn't it?
Yes, the most prominent shooting which we're coming up on was Columbine, which happened 3 days after I was born.
Right, and that was 1999, right?
1999.
Okay, so again, graduated high school in '73, college in '77, came to New Orleans, and I was in law school, so forth. And we didn't hear about school shootings; it just wasn't part of our lives. And then all of a sudden, in '99, with this horrible event, and we still have them. And I'm very curious as to why, what has happened, and most importantly, why we haven't found out. Okay, it's been 25 years. I mean, it's not like this is cancer and we need to cure it in 25 years. That's a big deal. But here we have a few, I don't know, not a few, I don't know, let's pick 25. That would be a lot. Mass shootings by strangers to other strangers. Many of them have committed suicide, so we don't know. However, they may have medical records or other things that are relevant. So the question still exists, why is this happening? So we're going to get to that. How are we doing on time-wise? Okay, we have, who do we have on the phone? We've got a couple of callers holding, don't we? All right, Matthew, let's put you on. Matthew, how are you this evening?
Good evening, Jack. So it's interesting you're bringing up the case in Michigan and the parents who are
Convicted.
facing jail time now. Yes.
Yes.
So I have to ask a question because I don't honestly know.
Sure.
Had he taken their Ford Explorer and done the same thing, would the consequences to the parents have been the same?
I don't think so, and I don't know of any cases in which parents have been convicted for a child's negligent use of an automobile. It probably has happened quite often, but we don't
It doesn't
hold the
make the
parents.
news. Wonder why.
Well, and it's a political issue. Obviously, it's the anti-gun movement. But
You think our news media is anti-gun and not objective? Forsooth.
well, again, as it says at the top of the show, these are the opinions of the host and not WGSO's opinions. We got to take a break. Hold on. We'll get back to you after the break, Matthew. This is the Jack Clegg Show, the Tuesday night edition. We'll be back in a few moments.
Get ready, Greater New Orleans. The Great Southern Gun and Knife Show is coming for 2 days only, April 13th and 14th at the Punch Train Center on Williams Boulevard. Show hours, Saturday 9 to 5, Sunday 10 to 5. Hundreds of dealer tables available, full of guns, knives, ammunition, holsters, gun books, camouflage, jewelry, and more. That's the Great Southern Gun and Knife Show, April 13th and 14th at the Punch Train Center. Show hours, 9 to 5 on Saturday, 10 to 5 on Sunday. Don't miss it.
Hi there, everybody. This is Jackie Gumbo, inviting you to join me each and every Sunday from 5 to 6 p.m. for Uncle Jackie's Gumbo. A little bit of this and a whole lot of that each and every Sunday from 5 to 6 p.m. only on WGSO 990 AM New Orleans or WGSO.com. Bring your gumbo, baby. We're going to have us a blast.
After the storm is over, if you think you have wind damage or missing roofing, siding, and gutters, call VinylTech. They have a AAA rating with the BBB, so you know they can be trusted. VinylTech has been serving the New Orleans Metro for over 20 years. They are the local exterior specialist.
Hi, this is Shay Mulkey of VinylTech. Let us work with you to get your home looking brand new again. I guarantee you will be satisfied. Call me, Shay Mulkey, at VinylTech, 504-469-7590, and online at vinyltechnola.com.
New Orleans, are you ready to have a conversation? Well, if you are, Ron Richardson is here to tell you that you should tune into my show, Conversations with Ron Richardson, every Saturday afternoon from 1 p.m. until 2 p.m. right here on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com, where we discuss mental health, disability, and everyday life. Tune in to Conversations with Ron Richardson every Saturday afternoon from 1 p.m. until 2 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com. New Orleans, let's have a conversation.
WGSO 990 AM is the only locally owned and operated talk station in New Orleans. We feature 20 local hosts discussing a variety of topics. In an era when the daily newspaper is being discontinued and our competitors are out-of-state media conglomerates, we ask you, our listeners, to support local programming on a local station. To advertise or sponsor one of our great shows, contact me at jeff@wgso.com or call 504-669-6076.
The fastest growing conservative talk show in the South is now on 5 days a week on WGSO 990.
That's right. American Ground Radio has moved from Saturdays to Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 p.m.
American Ground Radio is based out of Louisiana and is grounded in the ideas that founded our country.
American Ground Radio is a show for everyone who believes there is greatness within each of us.
So tune in Monday through Friday starting at 8 p.m.
on the community voice of the Crescent City, WGSO 990 AM.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back. This is the second segment of the Jack Clegg Show, and the topic tonight we're going to get into is what do we do about our broken teenagers, particularly those that want to be famous because they are mass shooters and they get a lot of publicity, which is another one of the reasons some people say this happens. I'm not convinced that's the reason either. Matthew, we were talking to you a moment ago. Are you still there, buddy?
I'm still here.
Yes. What thoughts do you have on the topic?
Yes. So, do we know if he was on Ritalin or a substance of that nature?
Well, what a great segue. I don't know that answer, but and I don't have the transcripts of the trial. This was not reported about the trial. However, during his trial, remember, he was tried first, and his lawyers said he was not of sound mind and body. Okay, which is a classic defense. Okay. And the defense
I could
had,
see the judge saying, "Yeah, think."
well, no, because the judge didn't really take the position. The strong position was taken by
I'm aware of that.
the prosecutor, and they brought in their own expert. Okay. The defense expert pointed to the video that was the manifesto. And he said, listen, this kid said he was hearing voices. This kid said he's a demon. The kid said he was contemplating suicide. He wrote down he had a mathematics paperwork that he handed in, and he had pictures of him shooting himself. He drew pictures of his head with a pistol to it. So there was a lot of evidence indicating what you and I and what most people say is some really bad behavior. Now,
Certainly he had macabre thoughts.
Right. And
But I knew a lot of people in high school who had macabre thoughts, and none of them shot the place up.
Well, we also knew in high school, I don't know how old you are, Matthew, I'm 68, but in high school, we not only knew people who were off or odd, macabre, whatever you want to call it.
I was one of them.
But we also knew people that were violent.
I wasn't.
Well, I knew lots of guys that were violent, and they got in fights, and they got angry and jealous with their girlfriends, and they were violent. But there were throughout the country, there were no school shootings in the 70s. There were no school shootings in the 80s. The first one occurred in the late 90s. What's that?
Why are you focusing on the gun?
Well, that's not why I'm focusing on the gun. Why is the government focusing on the gun? That's the question.
To take them away from us.
Well, if that is, we can look at several things that happen in these cases as representative of what the government wants to do and doesn't want to do. And when you talked before about Ritalin, that's another aspect of this that's really important. And that is the Joe Rogan show in February. He had a show. In fact, I wrote it down. It's show 2109. And the guest was Abigail Schreier. Do you know her?
Yes. I'm familiar with her.
Yes.
She's an advocate for, I believe, raising boys to become men.
Well, her latest book, she was started out as an investigative journalist, and then she would gather this mass amount of information and wrote books about it. And the last book was called Bad Therapy: Why Kids Aren't Growing Up. And part of that book, and the discussion with Rogan is very enlightening. Part of it is that we're drugging these kids. In the beginning of the show, the introduction is, in 2017, there were 41.1 million prescriptions for Adderall. 41.1 million of Adderall. And I remember, and when you raised the question of Ritalin, that was what the ADHD craze was going on. If you had a kid that was rambunctious, his parents were told to give him Ritalin.
Yes.
And without any knowledge at all of what this might do 15 years from now. None whatsoever.
And there was no knowledge at that time that Ritalin had a homicidal, not suicidal, ideation.
And this is one of the things that Schreier spoke about on Rogan's blog. And so, again, I come down to this issue. If you're talking about why these teenagers did this, you cannot focus on the fact that They just happen to have guns. In this particular case, the government used the fact that the parents, the gun that was used to shoot the 4 victims, do you know how he got it?
He stole it from his parents.
No. It was a Christmas gift.
Ah, okay.
It was wrapped up. It was a gift because he liked shooting. Now, I remember when I was 13, 14, and 15, I didn't like shooting in the neighborhood. That was verboten. We didn't do it there. But when we would go out to the farm, my dad's farm, whatever, and we'd shoot at birds or squirrels during squirrel season, we all wanted, teenage boys, that's part of it if you're hunting. So, yes, that desire. They got him that gun. And the prosecutor used that over and over again to demonize the parents. So, but
and they were willing to accept it because they're pretty tore up about what their son had done.
Well, they were, and it's really but it shows that the law often doesn't get to the real answer. And the answer is, why did this boy, Ethan, do this? I mean, even during his trial, Ethan's trial, his defense expert said, yes, well, he's having, look at the videotape, look at the manifesto. He's having these visions, he's hearing things, so forth and so on. So he's got this psychosis, which is the word he used, and he had poor parenting. So he was trying to help his client, the guy who's paying for his services, Ethan, off the hook by, putting it in a different direction.
Yeah, bury the parents.
Anyway, Matthew, thanks for participating. We got to go. We got to take a break. And right now, this is the end of segment 2 of the Jack Clegg Show. We're going to come back and add a few more wrinkles to this issue of broken teenagers and what we're doing about it.
Bring your business back to life with signs. Show-stopping signage can give your business the visibility it needs. Sir Speedy is a trusted resource for sign design, production, and installation. From trade show displays, banners and posters, to directional signs, window decals, wall graphics, and more, Sir Speedy's sign capabilities can help your business get noticed. Call us today at 504-586-9812. Sir Speedy, we do.
Hi, I'm Huck, an active Christian who loves Louisiana. One of my goals is to bring Louisiana's education from 50th to number 1.
And I'm Dave. I'm not afraid of government bureaucrats. I fear God. Our rights and freedoms come from Him.
This is Liberty or Lockdown. Please join us on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com.
Big Easy Pet Shop and Rescue is a nonprofit volunteer-run rescue. We provide adoption services and care for homeless animals across the New Orleans metro area. We also offer pet supplies and grooming services at our downtown and Marigny locations. The shops are located at 839 Spain Street and 513 Dumaine Street and are open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekdays and noon to 6 on Saturdays, noon to 5 on Sundays. We can be found on the web at BigEasyPetShop.com. Support local animals in need by shopping and adopting with Big Easy Animal Rescue.
Hi, this is Kevin Carr, host of Fat Guys at the Movies. Listen every Sunday at 8 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM, the community voice of the Crescent City.
I'm pet trendologist Charlotte Reed. Listen to the Pet Buzz airing every Saturday at 6 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM, the community voice of the Crescent City.
Hello, this is David Jeremiah. Join me each weekday morning at 5:30 or 6:30 for Turning Point here on Talk Radio 990.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Colleen Crane. Legislation aimed at restricting students' cell phone usage or any electronic device during school hours unanimously passed the Senate. Bill's sponsor, Franklinton Senator Beth Mizell, was questioned on the Senate floor about students not having a phone in the event of an emergency, such as a school shooter.
The safety experts say the worst thing that could happen would be 30 kids all trying to get on their phone in the event of something happening. They'd much rather the kids listen to the teacher and all follow one set of directions.
The bill now heads to the House. After emotional testimony, the House passes a bill that would expand the school voucher program to allow all families to apply for state grants for private school tuition, regardless of financial need. New Orleans Democrat Jason Hughes acknowledged that his support of the bill could cost him his seat, but says those who know his heart know he has a heart for children.
My vote will be in favor of this bill, and it's a vote for our children because for them, it's a fight worth fighting. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
LRN.
Tiger fans, are you looking for the latest news on all things LSU? Then Tiger Rag Magazine is your go-to source. Whether you pick up the magazine or browse over to the website, Tiger Rag Magazine provides you with the most up-to-date information on all the sports, university, and recruiting news that matters to you. Find it at your local newsstand or online at tigerrag.com. Let's face it, we all know that the recruiting scene at LSU can get a little wild. Don't fret. Now more than ever, Tiger Rag Magazine is staying ahead of the game when it comes to name, image, likeness regulations. Thanks to our Tiger Rag Magazine experts and analysts, we can help you understand what it means to LSU and how you can stay informed on this rapidly changing landscape. Plus, our website makes it easy for fans to get their hands on all the information they need about LSU athletics. Get your subscriptions today. So if you're looking for in-depth coverage of everything LSU, look no further than Tiger Rag Magazine. Available on newsstands or online, tigerrag.com.
This is Kate Delaney from America Tonight. The show kicks on at midnight, and I'm loving the overwhelming support in New Orleans. What a group of fantastic listeners here on WGSO 990 AM. Join me every morning to catch up on what I call the buzz in your backyard and mine. You'll hear some of the most interesting people on the planet from the world of business, politics, sports, and, well, just intriguing people with a story to tell. If you're around, give us a call. Don't worry, I'll spit out the number plenty of times on the air. Let's agree to meet at midnight right here on WGSO 990 AM in New Orleans.
What does grace mean to you? At Grace of the Green Light, a 501c3 nonprofit, we believe that everyone deserves a hot meal, clean drinking water, and the chance to go home again. Our work is made possible through the generous support of Emery and James Limited, an independent insurance agent serving Covington, Hammond, and Metairie, Louisiana. Emery and James, serving our community for generations. Learn more at emeryjames.com.
Hello, this is Jack Clegg. Thank you for listening and participating in the Jack Clegg Show Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Our audience and management have asked us to extend the show to Thursday nights at 7 p.m., and we will do that, at least until the 2024 election is over. We will continue to oppose the rich men north of Richmond who want to control what we think and control what we do.
Tune in to Chew on This, Saturdays at noon on WGSO. Tell us what you're cooking or ask us how to cook it with Don Clement and Patty B. We'll share recipes, cooking techniques, everything from sous vide to grilling. Got a favorite kitchen gadget? Let us know about it. Your grandma's secret sauce? Now we're talking. Tips from home cooks for gourmet cooking at your home. Join Don Clement and Patty B for Chew on This, Saturdays at noon on WGSO.
Come on to my house.
All right, New Orleans. Welcome back to the Jack Clegg Show. This is the Tuesday night edition, segment 3. We've been talking about how do we help our broken teenagers. And first thing is we got to find out how they got broken. And the second thing, of course, is we want to prevent them from hurting other people. And most importantly, killing other people. That's not a good thing. Okay. So we've talked about the Michigan case and the Michigan authorities deciding to go after the parents, demonizing the gun that they gave as a gift to the kid. There was a battle over whether the kid was of sound mind or body, and the jury believed he knew what he was doing. And so there was no insanity. This was somebody who knew what they were doing, and he was given life sentence. So he's won't be around, and I think that's what the prosecutor argued. You got to put him away. He's broken, and that's it. Okay. Now, I'm going to look at another case. The FBI director, Chris Wray, has just taken great credit, and he should take some credit, for the FBI arresting an 18-year-old in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. The FBI uncovered a violent plot to attack local churches in Coeur d'Alene on behalf of ISIS. Okay, the defendant, this 18-year-old boy, just turned 18, during the age of 16 and 17, was radicalized. That's what the reports say. In this particular case, his plan, which he posted online to his fellows in a chat room, this was a ISIS chat room. His plan was to incapacitate his father, restrain him, steal his father's guns, and then attack the churches in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Okay. The knucklehead posted, when I say knucklehead, I don't mean disrespect, but I do have disrespect for somebody that wants to do this. He posted his plan online, and he also spread other pro-ISIS propaganda. Okay. The FBI, of course, takes credit for this, which, they should. That's their job. But the difference is, because he was probably talking to known terrorists online, they could listen and see what they do. We don't want the FBI doing surveillance on American citizens. So there's an impediment to the government authorities just nilly-willy listening to all of their online chatter. So the two cases are very interesting in that with the American, we have to wait almost until he commits the crime. We can't do the surveillance unless individuals come forward and say things to the police. Well, once they do, that kind of handcuffs the police. Some of them, proper police and investigative techniques might allow for getting a search warrant and then maybe even doing some surveillance online. But generally, we don't like the government eavesdropping on that. But if you've got somebody who's making threats online, that's a good thing. All right, we got another caller, Rusty. How are you, Rusty?
I'm not sure, Jack, because you got me going swimming, turning around in more directions than I wanted to go.
Yes, it's a complicated issue, isn't it?
Well, I don't think it is. But
okay, well, let's simplify it.
Bear with me if I in the meantime, if you think I'm being a little conceited there. Over in Russia, there was a bunch of ISIS people that killed a whole lot of people about a week ago, 10 days ago.
At the concert. Yes.
We have ISIS people probably coming through our border every day.
Right.
We can't stop some kid from connecting with some terrorist group because of the internet or other means of communication.
Sure.
But we can stop those people at the border.
Right.
Which leads me to my point after you and Matthew were talking. There used to be a song by a group of people. You're in my age category, called Sly and the Family Stone.
Yes.
And they sang a song called Everyday People.
Right.
I'm kind of surprised you're bringing this up. This issue might have been brought up around the time Columbine or other cases might have been brought up.
Sure.
But we have everyday shootings that go in our cities and towns.
Right.
The ones that make the news, like this kid with the family, and I have mixed feelings about whether his parents should be held accountable or not. I think that's a dangerous slope. But on the other hand, we have everyday shootings that happen every day in our community.
Mm-hmm.
And in our country, and we don't focus on that. And I guess I'm just thinking,
well,
why are we looking for this particular type of cases?
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go back to what you said a minute ago. We have everyday shootings, and we do. Okay. If I had a show about that, I would have an easy answer. why do we have everyday shootings, and why have they exploded? I think that's what you wanted to say too. They have increased substantially.
Mhm.
Why? Well, because we had a huge movement that sought to defund the police. Simple answer.
Mhm.
That's a simple answer, and it affects everything. People who get guns don't think there are any consequences. The distinction that I'm making between those shootings and the school shootings are these are done by kids who are then compelled to shoot themselves. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, what's going on? It's not the gun, right? The gun doesn't force the kid to kill himself with the gun. But what is going on with these kids? Or when I say kids, teenagers, or young people, that they take these actions that you cannot bring back. You cannot bring back. Most of us growing up, there's a line that we don't want to cross. We don't want to cross that line because we can't go back. It's so bad. Okay? It could be in your mind swearing in front of your parents. If you do that, oh my gosh, I've crossed the line. Well, we're way beyond that now. But you would think shooting a stranger and killing them would be something that would be beyond the line that you can't go back.
I know you emphasize education a lot.
Yes.
But I'm going to say to you that putting our kids in the hands of the government has made them void of anything higher than their own selfish interests. And what I wanted to lead into that with is if there's no God, why not kill? If there's no consequences for your actions, later or here on this planet, why not kill? And they have taken the concept or the idea or concept that there being a God out of the minds of our kids.
I think you make a really, really good point, because when you decide to commit suicide, you've made the decision there's no consequence to that as well.
No consequence whatsoever. And I think that's what's happening both with white kids, black kids, brown kids, you name the kid. And I think that's what's going on. And it's because we have taken the idea that there's a higher power in our universe that might make us accountable. I know that would have stopped me when I was young. You know, I know people who tell themselves.
Yes. And yes, you're right. You're right. That's one thing. I also think.
And I know people who would not commit suicide right now because I'm not Catholic, but I know people who are Catholic who say, if I commit suicide, I'm going to hell.
Well, and that is a valid consideration here. And if you did want to study why these school shootings take place and the manner in which they take place.
You don't want to lie to people, Jack, and say, let's create a God so that everyone will be afraid to do anything bad. But I think there's a genuine need to believe there's justice and there's a power in this universe that has some kind of gives us a consequence for our actions. And I think these people that's been ripped out of them, or they've tried to rip that out of them over the last decades.
And I think there's a lot of blame to go around, but I think the most important thing you're saying is it's not there anymore. So
it's not there anymore,
whatever the cause of it is, and I think there's a lot of blame to go around for a lot of people and a lot of institutions, but I tend to agree with you. Thanks once again. You have made the show that much better, Rusty. Okay, we're going to take a break. We got a couple of callers after the break. We'll get right to you. This is a Jack Clegg Show, WGSO 990 AM.
Get ready, Greater New Orleans. The Great Southern Gun and Knife Show is coming for 2 days only, April 13th and 14th at the Punch Train Center on Williams Boulevard. Show hours Saturday 9 to 5, Sunday 10 to 5. Hundreds of dealer tables available, full of guns, knives, ammunition, holsters, gun books, camouflage, jewelry, and more. That's the Great Southern Gun and Knife Show, April 13th and 14th at the Pontchartrain Center. Show hours 9 to 5 on Saturday, 10 to 5 on Sunday. Don't miss it.
When the time came, I knew I had to find a place where Mom would be safe and active while still feeling independent. A place that was close to all of us and everything she needed. Locally owned and operated in the heart of Gonzales, I found Francois Benz Senior Living. They specialize in independent and assisted living and memory care.
Call 225-647-BEND for more information on our special pre-leasing offers.
Francois Benz Senior Living. Experience life as it should be.
It's Jeff Cruere, host of Ringside Politics. I'd like to introduce WGSO General Manager Marianne Guzman.
WGSO is locally owned and operated right here in New Orleans. We believe in cultivating local talent and emphasize local programs. If you have an interest in hosting your own program, then we have some prime spots available.
Thanks, Marianne. Folks, take advantage of this great offer. Email me at jeff@wgso.com or call me at 504-669-6076. Come fulfill your radio dreams at WGSO.
You'll never get a bum steer at Joey John Fro's Meats, 2324 Paris Road, Chalmette. An old-style butcher shop like Mom and them had. Also try Joey's Grill, using all fresh meats from the butcher cellar. Fourth-generation butchers from the Ninth Ward. You will never get a bum steer at Joey John Fro's Meats, 2324 Paris Road, Chalmette, 504-279-6590.
This is Lenny Minutillo, chef and co-owner of the Happy Italian Pizzeria, Restaurant, and Catering in Harrington, home of the original meat sauce pizza and sesame-crusted muffalata calzone. We have one of the Gulf South's unique granite conveyor pizza ovens, providing a crisp finish on our pizza pie. Our fresh doughs, classic and Neapolitan style, are made daily in-house using only spring water and organic flour. We have over 40 premium toppings. Choose from one of our 5 sauces and 6 different cheeses. Along with pizzas and calzones, we serve only fresh local seafood, eggplant parmesan, lasagna, ravioli, fresh pasta, daily specials, and local Louisiana favorites. Now, Wednesdays only, 50% off any bottle of wine from our list of over 65 to choose from. Happy Italian Pizzeria, 7105 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Open 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday for lunch and dinner. Find us at happyitalian.com, like us on Facebook, and love us on your Facebook.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the fourth and final segment of the Jack Clegg Show, and we have several callers waiting online. Let's see if we can get to them before we have to leave early tonight. Eric, how are you?
Hey, good, Jack. This is your favorite pro se plaintiff.
How are you, buddy?
Good. Great show.
Thank you.
This is one thing I wanted to point out about the Michigan case. Now, I haven't followed it as closely as you have.
Okay.
But one thing that I see here, I think it might be a fatal flaw to the case once it actually goes to an appeals court, because I'm sure these cases are. But being that it's a first impression, meaning that, it's the first time that parents have been criminally charged for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in the son's case, he was charged as an adult.
Correct.
Okay. But in the parents' case, they are being charged for failing to supervise their child.
A minor. Right.
Minor. Right. Okay. So how can he be both? For the benefit of one case, he's an adult, but for the benefit of another case, he is a minor. I think that's going to be a fatal flaw to these cases once it gets to an appeals court. And I think that the parents' case is going to be eventually overturned. But unfortunately, they might spend 5 or 6 years in prison before.
Well, the parents were already in for 2 years or more than 2 years. Yeah, they want their lawyer argued for time served, and the jury said no. Eric, great point. I don't know the answer. It's a great point. I've never researched it, and it would affect maybe the minor. as well.
I think
Yes.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm thinking it would definitely affect the parents' case. That's my thinking of it.
Well, I
Is
think
that if
all the lawyers involved. I hope they're listening to the show so they can get wise to what Eric said. Eric, thanks for calling. I'm going to try to get to the other
thanks,
callers.
Zach.
Really appreciate it. Okay, next we have Nick. Nick, this is your first call, I understand.
Yes, sir. Very interesting show tonight. I'm going to let you know
Thank you.
on 2 points what's going on. The first one is you want the government telling the parents whether they like it or not, what they're doing with their children. Train your child. Do not go to transgender dances in front of the classroom. Parents tell that to the children.
Sure.
You want the government to come in there and go, no, I'm seeing this down the road. Okay, let me tell you what it's like to be picked on. For example, substitute teacher drives from Chalmette to Metairie. Now, I'm pushing 75 years old, so it's some times ago, before people brought guns to school.
Right.
All right. Mrs. Thomas, one of the teachers, sees the lady, the substitute teacher,
Sure.
sitting on the ground crying because at lunchtime one of the punks threw an apple at the back of her head because they didn't like the way she looked.
Sure.
Okay, so the principal wanted to know who did it. I know who did it. So I went and told. When they found out, I was slapped in front of all the guys, and they were waiting for me after school
Sure.
to beat the shit out of me.
Right.
Now, among other things, it's always been in my head, why do these punks never get drafted to go to war? They always left here. In fact, they become deputies out here in Jefferson Parish. Bullies.
Yeah.
So anyway, like I said, I took on one of them, but they won't let you win. The other ones jump in on you.
No, that's not
So
right.
I come home with a fractured left cheek. But, well, what are you going to do? You're going to go complain? Well, their parents, because they're the elites, are part of the PTA, and they know the principal.
Sure.
They meet him for lunch and all that. I mean, for dinner on weekends and all that. So nothing comes out of the whole thing. You're always. Do you understand the frustration and the?
Well, I do, and I
hatred
think I think what your
They
point.
kick your books down. No, this goes on for the rest of the year and the rest of the time you're in high school. They
Sure.
kick your books down.
But I want to ask
the,
one. I want to ask
stairs,
one
and they
one
step
question,
on your
Nick.
homework, so you flunk out of the
Okay.
chemistry because I couldn't bring in my report.
Horrible stuff. That should happen to no one. Horrible stuff. But I just want to ask this
But
one question
That's being a
along
teenager.
the right and along the line of this program. When that happened, then did you seriously or half-heartedly or even consider the fact of stealing a gun and going back and shooting them all?
No, but I had to.
Right.
I was told don't come to the senior prom because the biggest one of those guys, he came with 3 other guys and he pulled a knife out.
And
it was right by the locker in the hallway. He said, if you come to the senior prom, I'm going to kill you with this knife.
I couldn't think of any worse embarrassment, any worse
I didn't
attack
go.
on you.
I don't care.
But the point I'm trying to get out of this and out of what happened to you and versus today
Yeah, but
is
you don't understand.
I do
I
understand.
was wishing they'd go to Vietnam and they'd be in front of me. It's always been in the back of my head. Do you understand that? Do you
I know
think
what you
that
I know what
taking
you're
on
saying.
you for 3 years will not stay on you?
I understand what you're saying.
They steal your book so you can't, and you have to pay for the book at the end of the year.
I understand, and that's horrible. There's no excuse for that. And the only thing, the only
Growing up, if it was just one fight, fist to fist.
sure,
but
that
they
would
bring
be
in brass
easy.
Knuckles.
That would be easy, but it's not.
A friend of mine who tried to say something, they beat him up with brass knuckles.
And
He asked the guy, "What do you got in your hand there?" He says, "This is my edge on you."
Yeah. Well, Nick, thanks for calling and sharing. And that perspective is important. And it's important because what happened to you has happened to other people. It's happened historically, but you did not cross that line. Anyway, we have another caller online.
All right.
Thanks, Nick. Who's this that we have?
Let me level. You know, my heart goes out to that last caller.
Sure.
When I was a kid growing up in the Lower French Quarter, I had to fight street bullies to deliver newspapers and groceries. Sir,
Okay.
I'll be quick.
Yeah.
there's a promo on this station saying, "Are you tired of gas prices? High gas prices?" Well, I think that "I" is directed at President Biden. And let me explain why that's absolute foolishness with facts.
You don't want to talk about the topic we have been talking about all night?
Are we sure? I didn't know that. Are we restricted to a topic?
No, I asked you if you want to talk about that topic, hit it. If you want to talk
good.
about oil and gas,
Yeah. Well, the United States is producing more oil than any nation in the world at any time in history.
When?
Saudi Arabia
when
has dramatically. I'm sorry?
now we are
Okay.
now producing.
Saudi Arabia has dramatically cut back oil prices. There's only one price for oil, the world market. Now, little Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, is being paid $40 million a year by the Saudis and managing a $2 billion management fund, which he has no experience doing. Now, the Saudis want to help President Trump get reelected. So they are deliberately cutting production to raise gasoline prices. So who do they blame on the Fox News channel? They blame the Democrats, which is preposterous lies and propaganda.
Well, I think, and I don't want to argue with you about this, but I think since the Biden administration has come in, our production of oil and gas has been reduced, and the green energy
we're producing
people
more oil than
and
any nation in the world.
oh, is that what's your source on that?
Oh, sir, I could do a Google search and come up with it in 2 minutes. It's
Okay,
been in the
so
Wall Street Journal,
okay,
it's been in the New York
I'll look
Times,
at it, and next Thursday night
Okay.
I'll address this as the first issue. Thanks for calling in. I
Well,
appreciate
have
it.
a nice evening.
All right, folks, what an interesting show. The topic, there were some other things I wanted to go off on, in particular, the the issue of mental health and young people, and a condition that is occurring throughout the world, and perhaps we'll maybe talk about this on Thursday. But Kobe recognized it when I showed him the article, and the word was euthanasia. Remember, we laughed at euthanasia. That just happens to animals. No, that's people killing themselves. And we have a case in the Netherlands of a 28-year-old girl who's suffering from severe depression, and she wants to have assisted suicide, and the Dutch said you could do that. We may talk about this on Thursday. Folks, thanks for calling in. Have a good evening.
Hi, I'm William Wallace. You can hear me live on Tuesday nights at 5 o'clock here on